Welcome to another All at Sea cruise presentation. And to bring colour and illumination to mysteries that have been around for centuries. This particular talk, this particular mystery, A Christmas Ghost Story of Figgy Pudding and Widdershins pudding, is actually the prologue to a talk I give on the way to Norway about trolls. And the conflict and contrast between the two different talks is that in this first one, people actually try and get rid of evil spirits within their home. Whereas with trolls, tourists to Norway actually invite mischief into their homes. Now I am hoping to have a full video with the two together later on in this year. But it is, as I say, a complete departure and yet still a mystery. And I'll try and present this the way I do on a cruise ship, but it will lack obvious stage animation, which I can't do in the shape of a video. And this story of folklore about trolls and other folk of the wilds, trolls and similar apparitions, is really a warning to cruise ships tourists who go to Norway and bring back little mischievous. Now beyond the Arctic Circle in Norway we have the land of the midnight sun, but of course in the winter it is the land with no sun whatsoever. And far away from the street lights and the car lights and the normal visions of civilization, we have complete and utter darkness. Which is why, as I mentioned my earlier ghost story, people of ancient times could look at the aurora borealis, the northern lights, and envision spirits in the air, spirits that may dwell on the land and in the lakes. Courtesy of the Disney organisation, we are thinking of trolls as nice, happy, fluffy creatures. This is very far from the truth. In the UK we know the fun fairy tale of Billy Goat Gruff and the troll hiding under the bridge. And we're also aware that trolls from The Hobbit have silly names like Bert, Fred and Sid. And yes, they eat people. But you mustn't believe the other tale, that the sun turns them to stone, because it doesn't happen to all of them. And even if they are, moonlight, prolonged moonlight, will soften them back. We know that they hoard treasure, because in, again, The Hobbit, Gandalf and Bilbo both found magic swords in a troll hoard. So first of all, let's get an order of size. If you look in the middle of this drawing, which is from Lord of the Rings, you have a human. To the left, orc, a Moria orc, a dwarf and a hobbit. So this gives the lesser beings in terms of size. And then moving to the right from the human, an elf, an urukai, a ringwraith or Nazgul, and a troll, a mountain troll. The forest trolls are of similar size and all other trolls come down from that. So you get an idea of the size differences. Now I know that as a tourist to Norway you're going to want to buy a Viking helmet and a troll. I'm not able to stop you, but at least I can advise you a little bit about your purchase. The first bit of financial advice I can give is perhaps you put the two together and get the troll with the Viking helmet. That will save a little bit of money. But I do guarantee you will be drawn in and mesmerised by troll shops. You'll see the signs directing you to go in and buy one. And here they are on the shelves in all types of shapes and varieties. And even the large ones are a thought, because as a cruise passenger, you can get them home. You're not talking about aircraft and limited luggage. So even that's a thought. In this Nordic, Scandinavian area, and we forget about Estonia Latvia and Lithuania, which are not really part of the troll story, and nor, as you can see, is the United Kingdom. In the Faroe Islands, in the Shetlands and the Orkneys, there's a little bit of it going on, and Denmark, Sweden, Finland as well, Sami up in the Arctic area, and Norden with that flag is the whole area, which as you can see is shaded. But there are differences in trolls, and the most mischievous of the lot, and sometimes the most evil of the lot, come from Norway. Over in Iceland, as a contrast to the Norwegian trolls, you have the Yule lads. Now these are little mischievous creatures that love to steal skyr, a yogurt type drink, from the farmyards around Reykjavik and in the far north. And you can judge from this little discussion between a large Norwegian troll and a smaller Danish troll a little bit about the differences. I smell Christian blood. What? How? Do religions smell differently? And why do you care? Christians taste delicious. What, you eat humans? We have to hurry before the sun comes up. I don't want to turn into stone. The sun makes you turn into what? What is wrong with you? Now, the other thing about Norwegian trolls is there's many, many more of them. They vastly outnumber the population of Norway. So what do these crafty Norwegians do? Well, they let you take them away with them. They even sell them to you at incredible prices. And what you should know is that the little small trolls in Stavanger and Bergen, the normal Norwegian ports that cruise ships go to, they're just little ones. Way up in the far north, you have the big ones, their relatives, perhaps even their mothers and fathers, who might want them back. Trolls love the mountains, the glaciers, and the lakes of Norway, and as you can see, the whole of Scandinavia is littered with water, littered with lakes, tens of thousands of them, compared to the UK, and in particular England, which only has less than 400. I need to tell you about these little beauties, the Hulda, the shapeshifters, their ability to transform, as you can see, using supernatural skills into beautiful women. These fairy maidens are called Hulda, and they are very attractive to see. But luckily, they can't get rid of their cowtails, which is something to look out for if you get entranced by one of these beauties. And if you do come to Norway one day and go on the Fram Railway, you are highly likely to see a group of Hulda up on the mountaintops. And yes, you'll find it funny and a little bit of a laugh. The Norwegians will lull you into a false sense of security because you see these signs around. No trolls. Do not feed the trolls. It's just as if they are fantasy creatures and not living beings. Now here's a road sign as we approach the mountains and glaciers towards the north of Norway. But if you look very carefully, it's not just a joke sign. There's a troll within the rock there. Can you see it? And another little troll nearby. If you keep your eyes peeled when you're walking around in town, or indeed if you're on one of the cruise excursions, you'll see all types of signs warning about trolls. People don't seem to like them. They keep asking not to feed them. Sometimes you think that your eyes are playing tricks on you. This was a troll head, and on the step in front of it I took a photograph of my wife Kath, but just as I was doing it, that head swiveled. You can see that. Quite amazing. And in this other picture, I don't know whether it was a gust of wind. You wouldn't think a gust of wind would move an arm to enclose her neck, would you? I wouldn't sit on a seat in front of a troll with a knife and fork, quite honestly, certainly between dusk and dawn, but in bright daylight I guess it's safe enough. And the same for this other picture. When the glaciers retreated in Norway, the forefathers of the Norwegians drifted in onto the land, but discovered it was already inhabited by trolls, small and large. And in these areas where the cruise ships can't go because the passages are narrow as the glaciers get higher throughout the north, this is where the large trolls live. Now these particular creatures are absolutely immense and quite frightening. Their forest brethren as well are quite something to behold if you ever get the chance to see them. Yet again, our friends the Norwegians play it all down. They have places like this, which they call the troll ladder, where trolls from the mountain tops went down to visit their valley brethren, and also geological features like this, the troll tongue, all great for tourists. You can see one right on top of there. I couldn't do that myself. And they are really genuinely difficult to spot, but you can put up remote cameras with tripwires and things through the forest, and this indeed is a classic photograph of one caught in a photo trap. Again, Norwegians will lead us into a false sense of security. They'll tell us that, of course you see faces, they're not real, these large trolls don't actually exist. There is a part of the brain, the fusiform gyrus, that seems to identify faces in all kinds of things, and that's all you're seeing. It's not real, it's imaginary. It is in fact a figment of your imagination. Scientists call this phenomenon the pareidolia. So again, look at this car front. You've got the two eyes, you've got the nose and the mouth. It looks like a face. Your brain is focused on seeing a face when a face doesn't exist. Here's another face. Not quite right, but you identify this as a face, the face of a stranger. And you are trying to read that face. All the focus of the eyes and the brain is on the different features that make a human face. And this need to identify faces and indeed to read the faces may come from, if you remember the film 2001 A Space Odyssey, when one tribe met another tribe and tried to decide whether they were warlike or peaceful. They tried to read the faces. This human attribute is quite fascinating nowadays when we're looking at the building and use of robots. Which one would you have in your home? Would you have one that looks like a human? Would you have one that is not quite human? Or would you have one that's totally different? There is apparently an uncanny valley, an area where something that's not quite human raises fears in the back of our neck, raises the hairs in the back of our neck. And that is something that doesn't work with robotics. And this is why these top 8 manufacturers of robots at the moment are developing robots without a human face. Because if you make them too real, and if you make that face too human, it unnerves us. We go into this uncanny valley of not feeling quite right about what we're looking at. Quite fascinating. Now, before we move on, I've got to get your eyes focused on troll spotting. So let's look at this picture. Can you see a camouflaged man with a gun? And is that a troll sitting on his head? It might help if you can see the gun. Oh, what about this one? Can you see a lion? In prehistoric times, we had to worry about saber-toothed tigers and lots of things that stung you, ate you, or at least gnawed at you. So it's very important to spot a face, particularly one hiding in the bush. Can you see the lion? Here he is. And would this rose, by any other name, smell sweet? Surely you can see the laughing skull within the withered flower. And what about this ant? We've got 2 eyes, a nose and a mouth. Everything you need for the brain to say that this is a living tree. Or even this. Do you know where this is from? This is the famous face on Mars. Was there life on other planets? Is this a natural sculpture? Or did a troll actually get to do space travel before we did? So now that your eyes are adjusted to looking for and seeking out trolls, let's take a trip. This is a cruise excursion I did about 10 years ago in Norway from one of the cruise ships. Driving along, I suddenly noticed a face in the landscape. Can you see it? We approached even closer, and for me it formed well and truly into a face. This one's a large troll that you wouldn't want to meet on a dark night, and just as I was trying to focus in on him and get a more clear picture, the vision went. The bus passed something that just phased everything. On this one I first saw a kind of shadow on the mountain, and then to the right and a little bit up from that I saw another face. And on this other one it looked like a hairy yeti clinging to the rocks. Can you see them all? What's also interesting is that when your field of vision changes as you're driving along or even walking along, something comes out of the rocks at you. So for instance, in this first picture, it's not quite obvious what might be in this rock face, but as you move along you can see down below to the right fingers of a hand coming out of the rock face, and then if you look very carefully you can see the whole creature hidden in the stones. What worries me about all of this is that the trolls are spreading. They're moving out of Norway, and of course the Norwegians are helping this. They're clearing out their own stables and giving the problems to us. I was in England a few years ago near Bury St Edmunds, and in this abbey ruins I could see again a troll trying to get out. It must have gone down in some quicksand or something, trying to get out, pushing out both his arms out through the ground. Now the people of the town years ago decapitated this troll and put his head elsewhere, and lo and behold, a tree came out of the head. Amazing. Then on another cruise to the Canary Islands and to La Gomera, again I noticed a female and a very large male troll in the mountain tops. They were spreading. They were moving south. I lived in South Africa for 3 years, and a couple of years ago I took a safari with my wife to South Africa, and there, very near the Kruger National Park, I spotted another couple. Can you see them in the rock faces? 2 of them, both looking studious. And what about this one? A troll classically under a bridge in North America. I believe from newspaper reports that the car driver did get away. And we've got another example here from Oregon in North America. It's called monkey face by the locals. I think you can quite easily see it's a troll. And there are people climbing up it. Now this mass migration of trolls way up north near Svalbard Island was caught out by the very bright lights of Aurora Borealis. You can see some of it reflecting. Looks an awful lot like the Ukrainian flag actually. Anyway, I've marked 2 out for you because it's not that obvious that all of them are trolls. Now this one is amazing. Do you recall that comet that came through our solar system in 2025 into 2026? Here's 7 pictures of it. If you look at the second one in from the left at the top, look at that. It's a troll head. They're even getting out into space. Trolls are famously very clever, very good at shinning up ropes and ladders, that sort of thing. So you have to be careful. Now, you've probably read about these things called rat lines on ships to stop rats getting onto ships and spreading around the world. They're not for rats, for goodness sake. They're for trolls. Because for some reason, perhaps some sort of magical property, they do actually stop trolls shinning up the rope onto any form of ship. But the sailors of the sailing ships knew all of this, and that's why rat lines, if you want to call them that, I would call them troll lines, are on those ships that visit in Bergen and Stavanger. You see them around. Are they on your cruise ship? Now, despite everything I've told you about trolls and warned you about them, you go in the shops, you'll see these mischievous little things inviting you into the shops, and I guess it's fun to look around and sort them out and decide whether you're going to buy one or not, despite what I've said. The shops sell lots of other things. I mean, why not get a fridge magnet, for instance, or clothing, a tourist to Norway type of t-shirt. But these little creatures keep pulling you back like magnets in a different way to buy one. But I guess you'll buy one whatever I say, and you won't even look at the face of the shopkeeper who's selling it to you. You'll be so pleased with your purchase. But I've got to tell you this, it's like having another baby, or indeed buying a very large dog. You're inviting a lot of mischief into your house, and the vet fees are tremendous. Look at this couple, for goodness sake. They're walking along, oblivious to the fact that that troll is walking with them, alongside them. It's free. It's mischief unchained. It's like taking an elf on the shelf back home with you, a mischievous little imp that works 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. You are in for trouble. So, okay, you've bought one. How do you take care of them? Well, you need to chain them up. If you can buy chains in Norway, of course the Norwegians don't want you to do that. They want them to be free and to leave the country. And all I can say is put them straight in your suitcase. Maybe even put your suitcase under your bed so the top can't be opened. You just have to be very careful. So here's a good example of what you need to do. If you've got padlocks, put them on the suitcase. And better still, put the suitcase under the bed if you can get it there. If you can't get it under the bed in your cabin, stick it in a cupboard and make sure the cupboard is locked. Or even if you've got a combination safe and the troll's small enough to go in there, keep it there with your passports and your money. Keep it safe. It's not only valuable, it's dangerous. And if you do let it loose and keep it on a shelf, then any port of call next, it will hot-foot it off and invade another land. And you were responsible. I saw this little fella in a shop once, very cheery, very comforting, just the right sort of purchase, and a nice little present from Norway to give to a friend or relative. And then I noticed the chain. It had broken away. So again, if you insist on buying one and making your life a pile of trouble, please do these musts. Please keep them safe. Please keep them out of the sunlight. Please keep them out of even moonlight. And please make sure they're chained. Now, why do I say chain them to a bookcase? Well, this is one that we bought 10 years ago. And then 5 years ago when we moved house, this was him. As you can see, I had to get a bigger chain. And the removals people wouldn't even take him. We had to take him ourselves in our car. They're a lot of trouble, I tell you. So again, do all these things to ensure health and safety for friends and family and yourselves. And why do I make the point about making sure that they're in your will? Well, you don't want relatives after you've gone to just put them in a dustbin. That won't help. You really have to secure them for life. And why indeed do I say count them? Well, they move really, really quickly. I took this photograph of a shelf of trolls, and they normally say in the shops, no photos. Why do they do that? Again, they want to fool you. Look at this picture, and look at this one troll. I took it with a fast motion camera, and that troll moved 3 times. Look at the tooth. Can you see him? Soon, I guarantee you'll be seeing trolls everywhere you look, everywhere you walk. This was a motorised granny that I saw going along in Stavanger one year. You can see that's not human. Here's a group of tourists in Bergen getting photobombed by a couple of trolls. They didn't even notice them. This must have been between dusk and dawn, I think. And they're even accompanied by a couple of small polar bears. And the people of Scandinavia keep these hoaxes going. They'll talk about Vitterfolk, half human, half troll, and you'll see them walking around in the shopping malls and elsewhere in the tourist spots, again to give you this sense of comfort and ease about the whole thing about trolls. But let's look at a couple more. I don't know about you, but this looks eerily like a troll. And astoundingly, these people are getting into very high places in society. Here's another example from Great Britain. Look at that hair. Wouldn't you want to hide it if you had hair like that? Well, at least he's trying, but this is a very poor attempt at disguising himself. Here's one that I actually snapped, and as you can see in the background, it was in Paris on the Church of Notre Dame. And another one in Norway. Do you remember this one from the talk, the ghost story talk on Figgy Pudding and Widdershins pudding? Well, he had a relative up north. This is him, and yeah, we brought him home. Grockle. That room is now out of bounds. He's free and flying about. I see him here, looking out of the window of our home. I think he's dreaming about Norway, pining for the fjords, indeed. I know what you're thinking. How can they not be seen on a cruise ship? Well, they run along the cruise rails. When you open your balcony, they've moved on to a different balcony. All you see is a blur, something in front of your eyes. Didn't quite catch it. Maybe it was a seagull. And of course, do you ever look up where the crow's nest is and see what's there? The middle-sized ones can hide in the air conditioning system of the ship, easily out of sight. And this is a middle-sized one caught by the captain wrapped around one of the old anchors. He'll be let off, hopefully on some uninhabited island like Surtsey that came out of the sea off Iceland many years ago. And again, I know what you're thinking. What about these big brothers and sisters up in the far north? How the heck could you hide one of those on a cruise ship? Well, it's entirely possible. Look around you, think about it. What is big and hollow? Yeah, you guessed right. The funnels. In the dark, in the warmth, totally out of sight. But have you noticed when you're leaving Norway that sort of thumping on the deck and the swaying of the ship every now and then? Do you put that down to waves? Do you put that down to hitting a whale? No, it's the trolls. They're having a nightly stroll, a troll stroll. Maybe the only way I can stop you from buying one and spreading them around the world is to say that I get 10% commission on all sales made in all the shops in Norway. Perhaps that's enough to put you off the whole idea of getting one. I hope so. Why do I need the money? Well, remember that couple in the crow's nest? Their vet bills were tremendous. And of course now, at home, I've got their children and their grandchildren to look after. It keeps going on and on. Remember this one from Notre Dame in Paris, a gargoyle type creature? Well, again, we got the one in Norway. I brought him for you to see, and here he is. I'm going to release him, and some poor soul, I guess, will rebuy him and take him home. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the strange deeds of humankind. We get rid of evil spirits in our home, and we bring mischief back into our home. We are a cantankerous lot. Well, I hope you've enjoyed being all at sea with David Hunter Pybus. Goodbye for now.